In today's video, I'm going to be touching base on one of the most important stages in the sales process, which is unfortunately often overlooked and undervalued, such that it proves to be an incredible hindrance to business growth in the long term for so many professionals. Through lockdown, I had the opportunity to talk to quite a few coaches and fellow peers in the industry, and what was interesting is that so many of them touched base on the same point of frustration relative to their business growth and ability to increase their client load, such that they often felt that there was a perceived ceiling or cap, and they were ebbing and flowing between the same range of clients. And obviously this is going to be something that makes you want to pull your hair out, as if the financial stresses of lockdown and the forced pivoting of a lot of business models wasn't stressful enough. Now, understand that upon digging deeper and asking better questions and auditing schedules, it became quite evident that across the board, the majority of these individuals were completely neglecting this stage of the sales process, as in 0% time and energy being deployed towards it. Further, the few that were incredibly inconsistent and what might be called sporadic at best in their efforts to incorporate it into their, I don't even think we could say monthly schedule, because of how inconsistent it was. And this stage is critical to business growth, because at the end of the day, whatever you deem desirable in consideration of your business aims and the rate of growth that you would like to experience, the reality is that every business is either growing or shrinking. There's no middle ground. Holding even is a myth. You're either getting bigger or you're getting smaller, and you just might not have realized which one yet. Understanding that, I would imagine if you're watching this video, you want your business to grow, and a growing business always requires the next customer. It always requires that next client that's going to hire you to benefit from your professional services. And that being said, you would be well served to ensure that you are finding that client or customer, or they're finding you well before you actually need them, as you can avoid unnecessary stress that would otherwise be experienced if you were in a mad scramble last minute. So that stage comes into play here, understanding this is incredibly simple. It's what's called, and you might have heard of it, prospecting. I think I spelled that right. Good. It's nothing new. It's incredibly simple. However, nowadays, the majority of people have a very short-term mindset. They seek and desire immediate gratification, and prospecting doesn't always provide that. In fact, rarely does it ever. It does not often result in a transaction immediately. It's often much further down the road. Consider it to be an investment of your time and energy, understanding that prospecting often will result in a sale 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, a decade from now, but not quite so often the day of. And because of that, a lot of people feel that it's not a reasonable place to deploy their time and energy and other resources, and they would rather focus on more complex sales strategies in the process that might result in that Visa, MasterCard, American Express conversation on that day or within 24 to 48 hours. Now, understanding this, prospecting is the active pursuit of potential clients. And your aim when actively pursuing them is to be in a position where you can continuously communicate with them long term. And the reason why is because these are potential clients. They might be lukewarm, they're likely cool, potentially even cold. And understanding that, it's unreasonable to think that they're going to be hiring you for your services in the short term. However, over time, a consistent prospecting schedule is going to result in you having a very full pipeline of potential clients with which you'll be able to stay top of mind in front of when it comes time for them to hire somebody that can provide the services that you provide. What you would be well served to do is to incorporate a purposeful time with which you prioritize the prospecting process into your schedule at least weekly, if not daily, preferably daily. And obviously, the frequency with which you engage in purposeful prospecting is going to be determined to a degree by how many clients or how much business you need or desire to have. But you do have to do this with intent. Consistency matters here, because if you are inconsistent with your prospecting, what's going to end up happening inevitably is you're going to run out of potential clients that you're able to reach out to. And you're going to find yourself in a position where your business needs that next client in order to continue to grow, potentially, hopefully not, in order to pay a bill and survive. And if you haven't been consistently prospecting, you are going to find yourself in a mad scramble with very high stress levels as you try and figure out where that next business transaction is going to come from. Understanding as much, as a former competitive kickboxer martial artist, I like to think of business as a contact sport. That being, the more contacts you make, the more business you have the opportunity to do. And prospecting is kind of like getting contacts. In fact, it's exactly like getting contacts, and it's imperative to your business growth. If you want to be able to continue to serve more people, if you want to be able to continue to add more value to the lives of others, if you want to be able to offer your professional skill set to guide people through to the achievement of outcomes that they feel are worthwhile, if you want to assist people with getting measurable, irrefutable results, then you need to constantly be prospecting, because otherwise you're going to run out of potential clients that could benefit from having you in their corner. So if you're not already doing this on a consistent basis, actively pursuing potential clients, understand that you're falling into a trap that so many professionals fall into, where they completely neglect this because the short-term ROI is next to non-existent. They struggle to think long-term, and they would rather focus on those more complex strategies. Understand that if you're not already the 1% of your industry, or pretty darn close, there's going to be few occasions with which people just walk into your door or call you up or send you an email and say, here's my American Express, I don't care what it's going to cost, sign me up. And if you're not there yet, you need to start doing a lot more of this if you even have a chance of getting to that point. Don't fall into the trap that so many other professionals do, where, like I said, they either neglect this entirely, or they'd rather check a box, so they double down on their professional development and completely ignore the sales process entirely. Not to downplay the importance of improving your skill set, leveling up your competency as a coach, but understand that 100% energy to your skill development and coaching competency and complete neglect for the business aspect is going to result in you really struggling in the long term, and potentially the short term as well. If you have any questions relative to the business end of coaching, feel free to reach out, touch base through the comments in the DMs, and let me know what you're currently struggling with, or what you would like some further clarification on. And if I'm able to answer it, I will in an upcoming piece of content.